Hello everyone, welcome to your fifth module of Working Capital Management under Financial Management. Till now we have studied two modules under Financial Management, so we are directly jumping off to fifth module, that is Working Capital Management. So what is working capital basically about? Working capital is like how well are you able to manage your day-to-day activities. Correct? Day-to-day activities involve everyday operations like purchasing goods, processing the goods, taking off the finished goods and selling it to the market. Along with that, the goods which are sold in the market would be, you will be supposed to give them some time frame to pay you back. If you are a wholesaler, you will be selling it to a retailer. Retailer will not give you cash in hand at once. He would take a credit of 1 week's time. After 1 week, he'll be uh, paying you your revenue. Whatever goods you would have sold, for that he would be paying you cash back after 1 week. Similarly, when you are procuring goods from your suppliers will grant you some credit, flexibility that you can pay after 10 days or after 1 month, depending on case to case, right? Now, it is very much important to have liquidity in your business. When will you have your liquidity? When you are able to manage your working capital well. So now in our today's session, we'll see what working capital management is all about. First thing, you need to maintain optimum level of investment in current assets. Second is that the appropriate mix of short-term and long-term financing used to support this investment in current assets. So first of all, what is the optimum level of investment in current assets? If you invest more in current assets, like if you have more debtors or if you have more bank balance or if you have got excessive goods in your warehouse, what will happen? It's like the cash will be stuck there. You would have invested in processing of raw materials. If that raw material stays in your warehouse, that that cash is locked in there in your warehouse, right? You can regain that cash once you sell it to the end user or the customer and get money from him for your business, right? If you are having more current assets, you might not be able to uh, pay your liabilities on time. For example, you are supposed to pay your supplier. Supplier will come asking for money. Only if you have cash in hand, only you can pay him your money, right? The whatever dues are pending, you will be able to pay only if you are able to sell all those goods and take cash in hand, right? So that is what I call it as optimum level of investment. Your assets should not be too high or it should not be too low. You need to strike a balance between your current assets and current liabilities. This we'll learn in our in our upcoming slides. So now, working capital involves striking the balance between firm's short-term assets and its short-term liabilities. So short-term assets and short-term liabilities both are day-to-day items. Like every day you will be dealing with all these things. Short-term assets and short-term liabilities, they are for a period of less than 1 year, right? So imagine I'm running rubber business or I'm a finance manager of some rubber firm. So in this case, I need to procure raw rubber wood from the farmers, correct? I need to process it in my factory. Then I need to sell the finished goods to the end user or the retailer or to the next person in the chain, correct? So I'm the manufacturer. I've bought rubber wood from farmer. I've processed it. I've sold it to the wholesaler. The wholesaler has taken 1 week of time to pay me back. Striking the balance between firm short-term assets and short-term liabilities. It's like that person to whom I have sold the goods should pay me cash back, correct? That cash has to be utilized to pay my farmers, to my suppliers, right? This is all about working capital, how I mean concept of working capital and how exactly it works. So you need to correctly analyze what is the credit period allowed by my suppliers and what is the credit period allowed by me to my wholesaler, right? So this cycle has to be correctly functioning. Imagine if there are any repercussions or any issues with this cycle. If I am not able to pay my suppliers on time, they will stop supplying goods to me. If they stop, supplying goods to me, that, or say if the relationship between me and my supplier is not well, it will directly hit my business. Correct? I should go in search of another supplier or um, another set of farmers. They would also lose trust on me, right? So what I mean to say is that you need to, I mean, there should be a free flow of cash in your business so that you are able to meet your everyday obligations or everyday liabilities. I need to pay my farmers. Similarly, I need to pay wages for my workers. Correct? All these things we call it as short-term liabilities or short-term expenses. These things, when met properly only, the firm will be able to function in a, there should be hassle-free working environment. Now, so if this day-to-day operations are working fine, then we can see the end result in your balance sheet as well as profit and loss account. Imagine if there is some issues with the supplier and the firm. Supplier denies to supply goods to you and you will go in search of some other supplier. You need to again take quotation. You need to again work on the bargaining and all those things. Then to bring goods from the new supplier to your business and the time consumed to bring it and start processing it and selling it will nearly take, imagine it would have taken some 2 months, right? These 2 months you are supposed to pay all your fixed expenses, which is a loss for you because you have not produced anything in this 2 months. After selling it, imagine, okay, even after all those things you started selling it, in the market. Since you had not sold your goods in the last 2 months, your customers would have shifted from your company to your competitor's firm, and it is very difficult to bring them back. So, any business firm cannot afford to keep doing all these things over and again, right? So that is the reason you need to plan your working capital in a better way, right? So that's about working capital, I mean, striking the balance between firm short-term assets and short-term liabilities. Next, goal of working capital management is to ensure that firm is able to continue its operations and has sufficient cash flows to satisfy both maturing short-term debt as well as upcoming operational expenses. Explain this. So let's go to the next. So concept of working capital. So working capital management can be defined in two senses. Uti- uh, First sense is from value point of time. What is value point of time? It's like you're defining working capital as gross working capital or net working capital, right? What is gross working capital? Gross working capital is what is the total investment of a firm in its current assets. You are just looking at the current assets perspective. Current assets are, it might be your cash, it might be your inventory, it might be your datas or work in progress or prepayments, right? All these things comes under your gross working capital. So when you are evaluating working capital or when you are assessing the working capital needs, you can either look at gross working capital, that is what is the total investment required from current assets point of view, right? What is the total investment in current assets? Whereas net working capital is like the difference between current assets and current liabilities, right? All these current assets, you need to invest in all these things what I told you: trade debtors or cash or inventory or work in progress or finished goods, right? These things could be met by your current liabilities, right? You would have taken inventory from your supplier for whom you wouldn't have paid yet, right? You have taken some amount of credit time. This is about net working capital. It involves difference between current assets and current liabilities. Only the difference amount you are investing as current current working capital. Coming to time point of view, here you will have two things. One is permanent and temporary. What is permanent working capital? Permanent working capital is like you would have invested some amount of money for working capital purposes, that is day to day operating activities. For those things you would have invested some amount of money, right? Whereas temporary working capital is like, if you can see all these seasonal goods like sweaters or yeah, books. If you look at stationery things, the sales are very high uh, during March, April, May, June, right? All these 3 to 4 months, you will have high sales in stationery industry. So in stationery industry, you would temporarily bring in more working capital during these 4 months, right? Because the sales will be very high, the volume should also have increased. If demand is more, you need to increase your supply. If you want to increase your supply, you need to invest more in your day-to-day activities. So this is the concept of working capital management, right? So now let's look at what are the determinants of working capital, right? First one, cash. So what is the actual level of cash balance you need to maintain in your business, right? There's also something called as cash holding cost, right? There is some risk when you are holding cash in your hand, right? This risk factor should also be taken into consideration. Also, your cash should not be too less so that you are unable to meet your day-to-day expenses, right? So when you are working on cash, the cash balance should be in an optimal state. Not only cash, other things like inventory, data should also be striking I mean, it should be very optimal in nature. Optimal is like all these things, cash, inventory, data will also have a negative side as well as a positive side. If you, for example, if you are considering inventory, if you have very less investment in inventory, you will not be able to smoothly run your operating cycle. Your operations will be affected if you are holding less inventory, right? Similarly, if you are holding more inventory, to store all that inventory in one place, you need to hire one separate warehouse. That warehouse will also comes with a cost, correct? You need to pay rent to the warehouse. So you need to strike a balance wherein the cost of holding of inventory is also very less. Similarly, on the other hand, the operations of your business are not affected. So this is how you need to work at it. Similarly, with cash, the cash balance should be optimal. Inventory I've explained. Datas. When it comes to datas, you should actually frame your credit policy in such a way that the customers are attracted by your credit policy. They tend to purchase more from you because you are giving a better credit policy compared to your suppliers. On the other hand, it should not be too high that you are incurring loss. Loss in the sense, imagine if you have given a credit period of 2 months for your customers. Customers will come and pay you back after 2 months only. Correct? For these 2 months, you would have borrowed short-term debt from bank, right? You would have taken some overdraft or something like that because the money was locked in with your debtors. So you are supposed to pay now bank a certain sum of interest, correct? That interest should not affect your profit. So it's like there will be no point in giving them very extraordinary credit policies just to increase your sales, because that lock-in period is 2 months, and for 2 months you are paying certain interest to your bank, correct? So you need to have a proper balance between the cost of your capital and the credit policy what you frame for your debtors. Next, short-term financing options. You need to analyze what are the short-term financing options. Like I told you, in case of debtors, that is like you take loan short-term credit from bank in form of overdraft, or there's something called as factoring. So you need to analyze what are the short-term financing options that are available for your firm and what are their cost. Is it worth taking loan from a bank in the form of overdraft and utilizing for your working capital, right? Next is nature of business. So in form of restaurants and hotels, usually there will be cash and carry type of business wherein the customers will be paying you cash at the time of sale, right? They'll come, sit, eat, and pay you the cash then and there itself. There is nothing like credit period for your debtors. In such cases, in such businesses, the working capital needs will be less, correct? Also, there will be certain wholesale and retail businesses wherein the nature of business is in a such a way that you are bound to give debt or credit period for your customers. So you need to understand what is the nature of business. Next, market and demand conditions. So if an imagine this, if an item demands uh, demand, I mean the demand is more than your production, correct? And you have produced more, but the demand in the market is very less. In that condition, you are holding your stock for a longer period of time till it gets sold. That will consume some time frame, right? That time frame, the money is locked in the form of finished goods that are not sold. So you need to understand what is the market and demand conditions. What is the demand for my products? Similarly, you need to, I mean, it should be in optimal form here also, because if you do not produce goods as required in the market, you will be thrown out of the market because your customers will choose your competitor's product because your product is not available. Also, if you are producing excessive of your supply, there also you'll face a problem because the money will be locked in the form of finished goods. Next, operating efficiency. Sorry, before that, technology and manufacturing policies. Some businesses, the demand for goods is seasonal, like your sweaters or say, stationery or ice creams. In these cases, a business may follow a policy for steady production throughout. I mean, the entire year they might choose to have a seasonal policy, right? A seasonal policy in the sense, like in case of ice creams. For ice creams, the demand will be high in summer. In summer, they might come out with a separate working capital policy only for that particular season, right? So you need to understand what is the manufacturing policy. When are my goods going to be sold high? I mean, when are the sales high for my goods? So next is your operating efficiency. So if you are working well, or you are cutting off all the unwanted cost and improving coordination among various divisions of your business, you can actually reduce the working capital requirement. You need to work it out in such a way that the working capital is less, right? For that, the operating efficiency should be very high. Next is price level changes. uh, in certain industries, the raw material prices keeps on varying, like your agricultural produces. Sometimes the price of tomato is 50 paisa per kg, and sometimes it is 60 paisa, 70 paisa per kg, right? It keeps on fluctuating. So you need to understand what is the price level change in your particular industry. If you are working with food industry, the raw material prices keeps on changing. This point has to be kept in mind while determining the working capital of your business. Now, let's see what are the sources of working capital. So this is pretty simple. First thing is loan from commercial bank. You can actually take a loan from a bank to source for your working capital. If you are running short of working capital, you can take loan from a commercial bank. Next is public deposit. You can actually invite public to give you deposit. Public will come and invest in your business as a form of working capital. You can utilize that money to run your business, wherein you will be paying certain amount of interest to the people who have invested in your business. Next is trade credit. Trade credit is something like you get it from your suppliers. Suppliers would have given you certain credit, maybe 10 days or 15 days, depending on the type of business you are into. So this time frame, suppose if your suppliers have given you 1 month time credit, in this 1 month you need to purchase, take the goods from them, process the goods, sell it in the market, take money back, and pay them after 1 month, right? You will have 1 month to pay them back. So you can actually convert the goods procured from them into cash in this 1 month. Next is factoring. Factoring is like you actually sell your I mean the accounts receivable or the money which you are supposed to receive. For example, a person would have given you a check. The check, you actually give it to a third party and receive cash today itself. That check, that person will go and deposit when I mean the due date arises. This happens only in case of post dated check. What is post dated check? Imagine today is 15th of April. You have received this check on 15th of April, but the customer has written the date as 25th of April. This might be for various reasons, like uh, the goods might take a longer period of time to reach your customer. Today customer has sent you a check which is dated 25th, but today is 15th. So today itself you will dispatch your goods, but it will take 15 days to reach him. So the customer, to be on a safer side, will give you a check dated 25th. So instead of waiting for till 25th, you can actually give this check to a third person and take money from him. That person will wait for 10 days and then he'll encash that check, right? Factoring actually works like this. This might not be I mean, proper example, but just to give you an understanding, I took the example of check. This is how factoring actually works. There'll be certain uh, instruments or accounts receivables, what we call it as in general. Accounts receivable, you can sell it to a third person. That third person will go and encash it on the due date, but he'll pay you cash today itself. Discounting bills of exchange, similar to factoring, wherein bills of exchange will be discounted. You draw bills of exchange. Bills of exchange are like negotiable instruments, something like your check, in which the purchaser would have promised to pay a certain sum of money, which will be signed by that person. So he'll give you that instead of giving you cash, right? He'll tell you, I'm supposed to pay Mr. X rupees 50,000 uh, as on say 30th of April, right? So you'll keep it with yourselves, and where you can produce it on 30th to your purchasers, right? To your customer, you can go and produce that bill of exchange so that he'll pay you cash. Instead of that, you can sell this bill of exchange to a third person, wherein the third person will go and take the money on 30th. However, the third person will pay you cash today itself. This is about discounting of bills of exchange. Next is bank overdraft and cash credit. This we have seen. Bank overdraft is nothing but money withdrawn over and above your cash balance, or cash balance in bank. Next is advances from customers. Advances are like if a person wants to purchase some goods from you, so he'll pay you advance itself even before you completing the work and handing over the product to him. He'll pay you money in advance, right? Next is accrual accounts. What are accrual accounts? It's like you have actually purchased a particular goods or actually incurred a particular expense. For example, electricity bill. You have incurred it for this particular month. However, you might take an extension to pay that bill in a near future. Say you'll tell them that you'll be paying after 1 month or 2 months. This is about accrual accounts. You have actually taken the benefit, but you have not paid them on the right day. You might defer your payment. So this is about your accrual accounts. So this is about your first module.